Hello and welcome and good afternoon to you all from the turf as Burnley entertain Southampton in a real relegation six-pointer. Southampton drew with Crystal Palace on Wednesday, and Burnley threw away a 2-goal lead, or I say threw away, they were robbed of a 2-goal lead, but the turf looking an absolute picture. The building work now beginning to take place between the Bob Lord stand and the Jimmy McElroy stand are here. The upper corner is almost completed. Turf War now looking to look a really good little ground here. Fantastic atmosphere. There's snow on the high hills here in Burnley. It's almost like a picture postcard here as the old Pennine Hills roll away. It's almost something that inspires Charlotte Bronte and her sisters hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But it's a bitterly cold. It's in around freezing degrees. It's basically on 0 degrees. It's a day where you need about 4 layers on up in Burnley, that is for sure. And the Burnley fans are well used to it. The Southampton fans maybe not so, but maybe half their side not used to it. But the Burnley fans looking really good spirits. I'm seeing there's a little bit of positivity. Burnley unbeaten, but they still sit 17th, but they're 4 points above the drop zone. Southampton have the same amount of points, but have a better goal difference of 5 over the Clarets. But a win for Burnley would take them to 26 points, and potentially if Cardiff were to lose today in the late game, then it would be a 7-point gap between them and 18th place. So what an opportunity here for Burnley to really move up in the table. They could actually go level on points with Brighton and Albion should they lose today. Newcastle are drawn and they're up to 24 points. They drew at Tottenham today. An out of sorts Tottenham, it's got to be said. It was, I can tell you when that game actually finished. In the Six Nations, it's 12-3 to Scotland up at Merrifield, and so that's going on at the moment on in the Six Nations. England and Ireland to come at tea time, so that should be good. In fact, it wasn't. Newcastle didn't get a point. They got a late goal. Some young men winning the game for Spurs. It was 0-0 last time I looked. I was so busy prepping for this game that I totally misread the signals. But anyway, so Son coming to Spurs' rescue late in the day at Wembley. So 1-0 it finished there between Spurs and Newcastle. Teams are just preparing to come out into the tunnel. Southampton in their changed shirts of yellow and blue. Referee Anthony Taylor just having a conversation there from Whitenshaw. Should be an interesting 90 minutes in prospect. Don't forget we'll be all across the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Plus at the end of the programme we'll have full classified results as well for you to come as well, and that will be also played later on Facebook. But we're all set to go here at the turf. It's been a bit of a wait. Burnley won their last home game 2-1 against Fulham, where at the time they won with 2 on goals, but obviously a week later Jeff Henrik was presented with that goal and they were denied cruelly at Watford when a linesman's flag went up when it shouldn't have done, as Tom Heaton keeps Southampton and his team waiting, shakes hands with the other captain and his opposite number Alex McCarthy. And there's no surprise, no coincidence that since Burnley have put Tom back in goals, they've tended to pick up the results. 4 wins and a draw from their last 4 wins, 3 wins and 2 draws from their last 5 games since the turn of the year from West Ham onwards. So they haven't lost here since that horrible reverse 5-1 against Everton, where it turned out to be Joe Hart's last game starting for the Clarets. He is amongst the substitutes, however. And we have the two lineups in front of us, and we'll bring them to you in just a second. Phil Bardsley there, carrying a very nervous Burnley mascot there. He's almost close to tears. But we'll just have to see how that one plays out. No comment section today, for obvious reasons, as the team's now going to merge out, and Burnley are going to get a nice round of applause, I'm sure. Southampton have brought a few fans up, and they get a good reception, the Clarets, as they always do every home match. They know that a win today would take them 7 points, potentially above third from bottom Cardiff City, who play in the late match later on. So this is a real important day for the Clarets. Southampton also cheered on. Not many have made the trip up, obviously, due to the snow and the weather. There's a number of fans there. They've probably filled half their allocation in the cricket field stand. Both teams in good form. Ralph Usenhertel, I think he's called, the Austrian coach, labelled actually in some circles as the Austrian equivalent of Jurgen Klopp. Southampton's form did pick up in the Premier League, although they did have that unfortunate cup defeat to Derby a couple of weeks ago in the FA Cup replay. So check on the two teams first of all, and we start with the Clarets. Tom Heaton starts in goal for them. Then a back four of Phil Bardsley, James Tarkowski, Ben Mee and Charlie Taylor at left back. In the midfield, Jeff Emmett will play on the right with Westwood and Jack Cork in the centre, and Dwight McNeil will play on the left, number 31. And up front, need I tell you, Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes, 9 goals between them this season. On the bench for the Clarets, Joe Hart, Johan Berg Gudmundsson, Robbie Brady, Ben Gibson, Peter Crouch, who's just joined us, Stephen Ward, I should say, and Matty Vidra. 4-4-2, the Clarets will play this afternoon for Sean Dyche. Southampton, let's look at their team with Alex McCarthy in goal. They're going to play 3-5-2, incidentally. So Jan Berenek, Jack Stevens, and Yannick Vestergaard will play as a back three. 5 in the midfield with James Ward-Prowse, Stuart Armstrong, Oriel Romeo in the centre, Callum Slattery, the young lad, and Matt Targett will play on the left. So a big day for Callum Slattery. And up front, just the one, well, it's Ings and Redmond. Redmond not really recognised as a striker, but he's going to go with Redmond. On the bench, Angus Gunn, Shane Long, Charlie Austin, who wasn't fit enough to start, but he's fit enough for the bench, and Lucy, Jones, Sims, and Valeri for Ralph Hasenhüttl. Great atmosphere inside the turf. Burnley, need I remind you, in claret and blue. The referee today comes from Wythenshawe in Greater Manchester, and that's Anthony Taylor. So he hasn't had too far to travel, just the 35 miles or so down the M60 and 66 past Rottenstall to Burnley. And a good atmosphere building inside this wonderful old stadium. But it's a traditional football ground, and it's got its grandeur, that is for sure. And Ashley Barnes, the man in the moment, scored the first goal at Old Trafford on Tuesday. Chris Wood doubled it after 81 minutes, and it looked as if at some point that Burnley were going to rescue or get 3 crucial points, which would have took the pressure a bit off this game. But then a controversial penalty given against them for a clear dive by Jesse Lingard. It was given against Jeff Henrik, and then a late goal from Lindelof, which looked suspiciously offside, cost Burnley 2 crucial points in their fight against relegation. But they are at least a good 4 points off the relegation zone as at the start of kick-off. So are Southampton, but have an extra point in theory with a better goal difference. They've conceded 5 goals less than what Burnley have throughout the season. And Burnley to get us underway in the claret and blue. Ashley Barnes getting us underway. They're going to attack the cricket field stand to my right. Southampton in the yellow shirts with blue trim, the blue sleeves I should say, and they're attacking the goal to our right. And this is Danny Ings to Nathan Redmond through the centre. What Burnley don't want to do is concede early on. And here's Redmond and Targett playing the ball in, and Tarkowski getting it across there inside the 6-yard area, but Tom Heaton doing well there. The ball just skipped in the air. Southampton don't have a particularly good record in Premier League fixtures, incidentally, at the turf. They lost 1-0 in 2014 in December. Then the next time they were back, it was January 2017, and it was a goal from Joey Barton that won the game there. A deflected goal from Barton on his return back to Turf Moor that won the game. And Burnley were on course for another victory until Bobby Madley got in the way of a Danny Ings through ball. It led to a Southampton equaliser, which was turned in by Gabbiadini, but it did look suspiciously like handball, and it cost Burnley 2 points. As it happened, it didn't cost them dear, because they did end up finishing in that coveted 7th place. Anyway, here's Target now on the ball for Southampton, and number 4 is Vestergaard, and Jack Stevens is playing the more central, I think, of the 3 centre-backs. Vestergaard again on the left-hand side, but infield again to Jack Stevens. Still inside his own half. We played 90 seconds in the first half, and no goals here between Burnley and Southampton. Vestergaard has possession once again, and he turns back, and he has to find his goalkeeper, Alex McCarthy. No place at all now these days for former number 1 Fraser Forster, who was heavily tipped a few seasons ago to be a future England number 1, but it never materialised for the former Celtic goalkeeper. Here's Dwight McNeil on the left hand side for the Clarets. First chance to see what they can do, and the ball hooked back, and he almost found Chris Wood, and Southampton just about smuggled that one out. Here's Charlie Taylor down the left hand side, in towards McNeil, and McNeil gets another lovely ball in there towards Ashley Barnes, who heads it goalwards, and McCarthy was able to pluck it a couple of yards off his line, and Burnley have had the first effort on target, and it came from a cross from Dwight McNeil. Barnes winning his header very well, very comfortably, but McCarthy was very well positioned, and I don't think he was going to be fooled by that. And it kicks out of his hands a long way up the field, just edges into the Burnley half of the field. Ball down the line, the right hand line of Southampton, the far side as we look, and Burnley get the throw in on the far side. So interesting selection that Ralph Wusenerdel has gone for. Nathan Redmond preferred to the likes of Charlie Austin, but Austin, incidentally, he's coming back from an injury, so I don't think we should look too much into that at the moment, if truth be told. There are others. We will keep you abreast of all the other scores. Brighton against Watford, Chelsea against Huddersfield, Crystal Palace against Fulham, big London derby there, so we could do with a draw in that one, and Everton against Wolves, as Dwight McNeil comes forward trying to land Ashley Barnes, but Vestergaard gets back inside his penalty area and hooks it out for a throw-in, level with the Southampton penalty area to Burnley. On the far side, deep inside Southampton territory, Cardiff against Bournemouth. That will be an emotional occasion for obvious reasons. They kick off at 5:30 tonight, and that will not be covered, I'm afraid, by the Saturday game. We just don't have the personnel available at the moment, and with Chris Whiteman now back in the favourite his Saturday club, we're gonna have to do without his services, but I'm sure he'll be coming back later on in the season. But we do have big games coming up, but after the 90 minutes here, you'll hear the full classified check on today's games from England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Also, there's the Championship as well. We can take you through what's happening in the Championship as well. There's been no goals in any of the games between Birmingham, Forest, Brentford, Blackburn, Bristol City, Swansea, Hull, Stoke, Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, Millwall, Rotherham, Reading, Aston Villa, Sheffield United, Bolton, West Brom, Middlesbrough and Wigan QPR. Leeds kick off at 5:30 against Norwich, and that's a real promotion showdown, that is for sure. So we'll keep you abreast with the Premier League and Championship games as we go along. As soon as we get any goals going, we'll be the first to tell you about it. As we come up towards 5 minutes gone here at Turf Moor in our big game for 3 o'clock kick-off, the Clarets game live, coming to you from Turf Moor as the Clarets take on Southampton and a massive relegation 6-pointer. And Ben Mee's on the chase, and so too is Ings. It's clean through Danny Ings. Oh, he's in the face of the goalkeeper. Best chance of the game backed by none, and a foul there by Redmond on Taylor, and that's going to be a free kick to Burnley. And Taylor sprawled on the ground, but Danny Ings just before then had a glorious opportunity for Southampton, and it was one long ball, and Ben Mee was caught short there. And Tom Eaton bailed out his centre-backs. I think it might have been, was it Redmond or was it Slattery? Well, Slattery's a young lad. Reminds me a bit of a few years ago when Jake Hesketh made his debut here and ended up almost being sent off, but it was one ball over the top here from Vestergaard that caused the problem. Ben Mee just didn't pick it up, and in fact I think it might have been, was it Ings or was it Redmond? I'm not quite sure, but it was a foul, definitely. We're absolutely sure. Yes, it was Danny Ings. My eyes didn't deceive me, and in fact it came off the chest of Tom Heaton, and then the foul afterwards was a naughty one there, and in fact it was young Slattery with the challenge. But an unknown quantity to the football world at large. Young lad coming in. First Premier League start, I believe, for the Saints today. We'll just have to find out how good a player he really is under pressure here. And here he is now on the ball. It'll be a big test for him here as Armstrong goes down that near side. Redmond wins the ball back off Tarkowski, who just won't give him an easy ride. 6 minutes gone. Barnes has had Burnley's best chance of header at goal, but easily saved there by McCarthy. And then a few seconds ago, Danny Ings with a glorious opportunity to score against his old teammates. Got away from one of them, Ben Mee, but couldn't outwit the other. The Burnley captain, Tom Heaton, who outwitted Ings by just making himself completely big. But a little warning sign there to Burnley and to Ben Mee in particular, that you can't be caught short, certainly in a race between Ings and himself. Good tackle again by Ashley Westwood, who's had a great season so far. Jack Cork in fact winning the ball, but Ashley Westwood, I just want to go on about him. He's been an unsung hero for Burnley. A lot of people giving Ings and Wood and Tarkowski and Heaton the credit for the good run. It can't be forgotten that Ashley Westwood at some point or other in this good run has more than played his part, and I think that should be remembered for that particular reason. And I think he's done very, very well. Remember, Stephen Defoe is not in amongst the 16. I don't think he's quite fit enough, but Goodmanson and Brady, seen them amongst the substitutes is an encouraging sign. I'm sure you'll be able to spot all of them on the benches if you're watching this game abroad. The side of Peter Crouch. Well, Prowse couldn't keep it in on the far side. 8 minutes gone here at the turf. Burnley 0, Southampton 0. The Clarets game live from the turf. Second Clarets game in 4 days. This is the only live match this weekend on the JB Claret YouTube channel. I'm going to be busy watching the Six Nations later on after this game, and then tomorrow, sadly, we won't be able to bring you Man City against Arsenal because the man who's supposed to be commentating on Sundays, which is me, I'm going to be elsewhere until 5 o'clock, so I won't be able to do the match. So I do apologise for that. Here's Wood now flicking it on towards Henrik, and Henrik gets the... Oh, there's a little bit of wrestling going on. I think the referee wants to play advantage. I think he has. And Henrik has got it over to McNeil. McNeil again with a cross, but there was just nobody waiting in the penalty area. And in the end, that attack really broke down. I don't think there was any real advantage to be gained from that. I think Burnley would have been better advised to take a free kick as that back post goes perilously short, and Redmond was onto it, and he's a very pacey player. I remember him in his early days at Birmingham and saying he could become a player and a half. It hasn't really quite worked out for him yet, Nathan Redmond, but I think given time he will become top quality. He still is quality, Redmond. I've always rated him as a footballer. Here's Target now on the left hand side for Southampton, inside the Burnley half, back inside to Armstrong, and Armstrong plays it over to the halfway line. Now Vestergaard for Southampton. Remember, these two teams played out a thrilling 0-0 draw, you may remember, at the start of the season at St Mary's, one of the best games that we commentated on, and it got quite a number of listeners. We had over 1,000 listeners that afternoon, which was very grateful, and that was for a 0-0 draw. 10 gone here, and it's still 0-0 here. So we have covered the first game. Burnley had most of the game, and then Southampton stepped it up a gear in the last sort of half an hour or so. Mark Hughes was the manager then, and of course Mark Hughes has since left his job since the teams last met. Poor run of form by their standards, and Ralph Rosenhertel has come in and sort of steadied the ship, although it hasn't dragged them away from the bottom three at this moment in time. And that's always the possibility, and that's always the danger, I suppose, in all retrospect. We've got a goal to cut. We've got a goal to tell you about at Everton in a minute, but Burnley are on the attack, and it's cut out by Jack Stevens now. Redmond goes forward, touches it onto wings. We can't break off for a second because we got Southampton breaking away with Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse now playing the ball forward, but no handball against Taylor. Ward-Prowse still has the ball. Referee playing it on. Armstrong now touching it on. Vestergaard. And here's Target. Infield again. This is Redmond again. Touching it back to Armstrong. Vestergaard. They're keeping possession rather well. We're still waiting to a breaking play so we can tell you about the goal. No foul there. Vestergaard will try a shot from about 25 yards. Well to the left of the penalty area, and it's well wide for a goal kick to Burnley. Right, we've got a goal at Everton, and it's Neves from the penalty spot. Ruben Neves putting Wolves ahead after 7 minutes, and that's the first of the 3 o'clock kickoffs that has a goal. Early today, Son with a late goal for Spurs outwitted Newcastle. Brighton 0, Watford 0, Chelsea 0, Huddersfield 0. Massive game for both Chelsea and Huddersfield, more so Huddersfield Town. Crystal Palace Fulham, another 6-pointer, that's 0-0 with 12 minutes gone. And as you've seen, Everton 0, Wolves 1. In the Championship, 2 goals for you-know-who against Brentford. I'm not going to mention their names. And Wigan have scored against QPR, so that's 1-0 to Wigan against QPR, and Brentford 0, you-know-who too. I love to mention their name for obvious reasons. Right, anyway, back to the game. So that's a bit of news elsewhere. 12 minutes gone. It's Burnley 0, Southampton 0. One presentable chance each. One for Ashley Barnes, where he headed tamely rather at McCarthy's goal, and it was put by McCarthy. And Danny Ings missing a glorious 1-on-1 with Tom Heaton, his former colleague and now Burnley captain, as Henrik plays the ball forward, can't find Barnes, and it's straight into the arms of Alex McCarthy. The sun is glaring now at Turf Moor. It's a lovely sunny afternoon, but it's bitterly cold. As I said, there's been plenty of snow in East Lancashire for the last sort of 4 or 5 days. I can also tell you, and it was absolutely blizzarding. I was travelling around on Tuesday doing other stuff and travelling around Manchester and places like that on Tuesday afternoon, and it was blowing blizzards and gales and goodness not all sorts, and it was just unbelievable really, but we live to tell the tale. And here's a long ball forward, and it's into the Papa Mac target here on the left hand side. We play 13.5 minutes. Burnley 0, Southampton 0. Armstrong has got to the byline. Armstrong's cross gets a little deflection, which makes it awkward for Heaton. He lost it and dropped it, but he was fouled. He was fouled there. And again, young Slattery in there as well. I'm surprised Slattery has not been booked for his 2 challenges. They have been rather rough. Let's just see a shot there of Peter. I've just seen a shot on my monitor of Peter Crouch, 6'7" of him. I did question on this YouTube channel the other day, was he a worthwhile signing, considering that we've got rid of a younger sort of type of player in Sam Vokes to Stoke for £7 million, which I think is peanuts, considering the prices that he should have gone for. I think we could have got £10 million for him, most absolutely for sure. But we got Crouch in. I don't know how much that's going to cost him in wages, but the jury's out for me as Crouch, but I'm going to have to back him through whatever happens there today. He may well come off the bench and score the winning goal. If he does, I'll eat my words, that's for sure. Heaton touches it back to me. Oh, poor from Ben Mee. That's absolutely poor. Could have kept that in very, very easily. Nothing wrong with the clearance by Heaton. It was well within him there, and he's just trying to be too casual there, Ben Mee, in my opinion. You can't afford to be doing things like that. Try and take the ball down with a minimum of fuss and then hook it away. But to concede a throw-in like that, that's just sloppy from Ben Mee. And it's giving Southampton a chance here with Ward-Prowse to take the throw-in. Burnley 0, Southampton 0. This is Redmond on the far side. Back to Ward-Prowse. Had half a yard maybe for a crossing opportunity. Vestergaard now has it halfway inside the Burnley half, and then he has to go back. Southampton's having a little bit of good possession here, and this is a little bit alarming for the Clarets, but they're doing what they're doing best at the moment. Burnley being hard to break down. And they're saying to Southampton, yes, you can have more possession. Yes, you could have 1 or 2 chances, but we'll catch you. We'll catch you out. And here's Tarkowski on the chase, and he shepherds that one out beautifully well against Nathan Redmond and behind for a goal kick to the Clarets. So 0-0 here, and it's been a highly competitive, highly charged first half. 2 good chances, 1 to either side. Barnes for Burnley and Ings with a 1-on-1 save by the chest of Tom Heaton for Burnley at the other. 16 gone, 0-0. And Wolves winning at Everton is the only alteration so far in any of the 3 o'clock games. In the Championship, you know who was winning at Brentford. It's 2-1 now in that Brentford game. Birmingham have taken the lead against Nottingham Forest, of course managed now by their former legend Martin O'Neill, or a former player and legend of the club, Martin O'Neill. 16.5 minutes gone here at Turf. There's no other scores elsewhere to tell you about in the Premier League other than Wolves winning at Everton at the moment at Goodison Park. Remember that first game very well. It ended 2-2, and a game I covered on the YouTube channel. It was a marvellous match. And Everton are with it all to do. And Marco Silva, I believe, at Goodison Park is a man under intense scrutiny and pressure. Farhad Bashir is not a man that has too much patience. Completely lost patience with Koeman towards the back end of the season. Then he bowed down to supporter pressure because of Sam Allardyce's conservative style of nature of football. And they wanted Marco Silva last season, and he was doing very well with a Watford team that were going great guns under him, and then all of a sudden he lost his job because they had I think they didn't win in 4 or 5, and the Potters got rid of him. So he has this tendency to have a good honeymoon start and then sort of, I don't know, and sort of like tear off a bit. So goodness knows what's going on at Everton at the moment, out of the FA Cup, and I covered that last week at Millwall, and they deserve to go out in my opinion. Here's Taylor getting it forward there for the Clarets. 0-0 in this one, by the way. You haven't really missed anything whilst I'm talking about Everton's poor run of form, as McNeil goes forward, and he looked as if he was crowded out there rather unfairly, I felt, by the Southampton lad. But it's a foul, no foul, and a free kick, a throw-in, to Southampton. 18 minutes have just ticked by here rather quickly here at the Turf. And Burnley, who were the subject of a very iffy refereeing decision on Tuesday, how they could do with a good referee decision to go in their favour. A penalty would be nice, I think. We haven't had one now in 67 matches in the Premier League, and that is a very long time ago now, considering the last person to take a penalty against in the Premier League for Burnley was Andre Gray against Sunderland back in 2016. It's been nearly 3 years since Burnley were awarded a penalty in the Premier League. Here's Tom Heaton to hit the ball forward. Henrik is jumping with that one as well. Ben Mee to hit the ball forward, and a little mistake there, but that'll be pounced upon by Bedenek, and it's back to McCarthy. Angus Gunn is the backup goalkeeper for Southampton. He played in that played in those 2 cup classics with Derby, where it finished 2-2 in both the first match at Pride Park and the replay down at Southampton, which Derby went on to win on a penalty competition, which sort of saved Southampton in a way of 2 massive trips up to this part of the world, because if they got through that game against Derby last week, they would have had to have gone up to Accrington Stanley, because that's who they would have faced if they had got through against Derby. As it happened, it was Derby that won the match, and they got through 1-0. Some iffy refereeing from John Moss, who was back to his iffy best on Tuesday. But 0-0 here as the cross comes in towards the penalty area, and in came at the back post Matt Target, and it's gone behind anyway for a goal kick. Couldn't reach it there. It was a good cross actually from James Ward-Prowse on the right hand side. A little deflection which might have took it away from Matt Target. I think he did get a flick on it, Target, but it wasn't going to be sufficient enough to... Yes, it just comes off his left ankle, and it's gone way into the stand for a goal kick. 20 gone minutes, that is, and it's Burnley 0, Southampton 0, Clarets 0, Saints 0 in the Premier League at Turf Moor. Elsewhere, let me just check anything. There's been any change in the scoring. Chelsea have taken the lead against Huddersfield, and I can tell you, Gonzalo Higuain, the new man, a real menace to defences over the years in Spanish football, has just given them the lead. New signing for Milan. Meanwhile, it's Redmond for Southampton against the Clarets. It's Armstrong back to Redmond again. Chips the ball into the area, and there's a man free at the back post, and Burnley didn't pick him up. And it was young number 55, Slattery, who should by now have been booked for a couple of very, very bad challenges. First of all, Taylor, and then Tom Eaton, but he had a chance there after 21 minutes there, young Slattery, and could have put Southampton in control of this 6-pointer. As it happens, we've got Westwood on the ball. Now McNeil. McNeil strikes the ball, but it hits with his left foot, but it comes off a defender and bounces kindly for the Saints. 0-0 here. Armstrong to get it away for Southampton. It's charged down. Here's Henrik to Jack Cork. And a little chip forward by Westwood, and can't find Chris Wood, and it's with Alex McCarthy. And it's with the Southampton goalkeeper now. Well, since both teams have had a chance apiece, it's the goalkeepers have not been tested sufficiently enough, I feel, in the game so far. Well, with the score in at blank at 0-0 as we go past the 22-minute mark, it's McCarthy with the kick, right-footed, and it's gone right out of play, 10 yards inside the Burnley half on the near side. And this really is a topsy-turvy contest. Phil Bardsley to take it. Been a little bit quiet today, Phil, I have to say, as he takes the throw-in, but it's a decent little throw-in, and the ball back by Jack Stevens to Alex McCarthy. We're coming up towards the halfway point of the first half then at the Turf, and it's Burnley 0, remember, Southampton 0. 3 o'clock kick-off. Chelsea are winning 1-0 against bottom side Huddersfield Town, with their new manager Suet in charge, and of course Wolves winning thanks to a penalty by Ruben Neves at Goodison Park against Everton. Is not looking too good. Remember, Bournemouth are away at Cardiff, and going to be what's going to be an emotionally charged encounter at 5:30 this evening. Obviously with the loss, of course, with the loss, of course, of their striker Salah for gone. They paid £17 million for him, and it was really sad to see. Burnley 0, Southampton 0, and then in the Premier League, the little chip forward into the heart of the penalty area. Burnley have it now with Westwood. Out to Henrik in field once again to Jack Cork, gets the crossing, comes off the defender, and it's behind for the corner. So an opportunity here as we go past the halfway mark of the first half then at the Turf, for Burnley to now try and put something on this Southampton goal. JB Clarets YouTube channel live, Clarets game live from the Turf as McNeil sends that corner towards the far post. Ball back in, Barnes on the turn, blocked by a couple of Southampton players, and there was about 3 or 4 yellow shots that threw the way in the path of Ashley Barnes as he turned to shoot inside the 6-yard area, and if he got his shot away through the forest of bodies, then I've got no doubts that Burnley would have been in front. Barnes had 2 bites of the cherry. Well, he had 1 bite of the cherry. McNeil had the second one. I think it might have been Cork, in fact, who had the second one. And that would have been a marvellous moment there for the Clarets as Bardsley hits the ball long towards the edge of the penalty area. And then Cork to win the ball next. The ball comes to McNeil on the far side. He's up against Ward-Prowse here. McNeil does magnificently well. Twisting and turning and getting the cross in, and McCarthy doing well inside the 6-yard area. A little bit more better from the Clarets. 25 minutes gone here at Turf Moor. The Clarets game live. Burnley 0, Southampton 0. And a good first half it has been as well, incidentally. Been interesting to see what's been happening elsewhere. Brighton 0, Watford 0, Burnley 0, as you know. Burnley Southampton is 0-0, as you know. Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 0, and Wolves winning at Everton. Their good run this season is continuing big time. Meanwhile, we've got Danny Ings down on the 4. As we've got an injury down, Danny Ings is back up on his feet now. I'm pleased to report. There's been a goal, been a development at Selhurst Park. I can tell you there's been a penalty. Miljevic has given Crystal Palace the lead at Selhurst Park, and Fulham, who came back from the dead in midweek to beat Chris Hughton's Brighton, well, they're in problems. They're in arrears again. Ranieri's men, they trail by 1-0. Not looking good for Ranieri at the moment. Danny Ings is now has had his treatment and he's ready to come back on. And it's Southampton in possession. Remember, 0-0 here at St Mary's, at Turf Moor I should say. St Mary's was the first game of the season. And these matches, of course, are the turnarounds from the first match of the season. You may remember we covered Newcastle against Spurs, which Spurs won 2-1, and that 2-2 draw with Wolves, and we covered this one on the Sunday because Burnley were playing in the Europa League at that point, and it was a thrilling 0-0 draw. And I've commentated on some bad 0-0 draws, but I've commentated on some thrilling ones too. Right, 27.5 minutes gone then at the Turf. Burnley 0, Southampton 0, and that's the state of affairs at the moment here. A capacity crowd here of just over 19,000. But Danny Ings has been replaced, I think. So Danny Ings has gone off. I didn't actually see that. So I think it might have been. I'm wondering if it's Long or Austin he's replaced. I'm just going to check who has replaced him. I'm certain Danny Ings hasn't lasted long. He is quite injury prone, Danny, and as everyone will tell you. So we'll just check that out for you. It's Shane Long who's come on, in fact, to replace the man on loan at Liverpool. Everton have equalised, incidentally, at home to Wolves, and that's 1-1 now at Goodison Park. The goal scorer in that one, Andre Gomez. So Wolves' lead only lasted 20 minutes. Meanwhile, it's Armstrong now for Southampton. Good shot by him. A little bit of danger signs there for the Clarets as he lined up the shot. But a really good save by Tom Heaton. Did really well here. Hits it with his left foot, but Tom very quickly behind that one to sprawl across to his left hand side and make the save. Westwood to win the next ball in the centre for Burnley. Barnes chips it forward. Can't find Chrissy Wood that time. Now McNeil has it. Dwight McNeil, good ball in there, and here's Barnes now. Barnes turning. Ashley Barnes for Burnley, and he hits it over the bar. It was Chris Wood, in fact. He hit it over the bar with his right foot, and there were two Clarets waiting in the centre. Sean Dyche can't believe it. I think Barnes was one of them. The similar sort of players and the similar sort of stars, and I thought it was Barnes for a second, the way he played there. There was two in the centre. McNeil was one of them as well. He put Wood on his way here. Should have played it in there to McNeil, I think, and I think that might have been the opening goal without a shadow of a doubt. Here's the kick taken by Alex McCarthy, coming up towards a half an hour gone here at the Turf. It's going to be rough and ready, up and at 'em this afternoon, that is for sure. Great first half here, but no goals. There's plenty of goals elsewhere. Everton 1, Wolves 1, Chelsea 1, Huddersfield 0, and Palace 1, Fulham 0 is the scores that we've got at the moment. Birmingham winning as well in the Championship, And Wigan winning 2. Here's McNeil now for the Clarets. He's got Wood and Barnes to his right hand side if he can get his head up. The ball played in, couldn't reach Barnes. It might still reach, it couldn't reach Wood. It might still reach Barnes. It has. Barnes with a cross into the area. He goes down. No, I don't think the referee was going to give a penalty, considering that Burnley have gone 69 games now without a spot kick. I don't think. I think Westwood just lost his footing, quite honestly. Where's VAR when you need it? Here's Westwood now to crossing from the right, but it's far too close to the Southampton goalkeeper, and it's a tense, nervy affair as we'd have thought. But that's a huge blow for Southampton. Danny Ings going off with an injury. Just when they think they're getting their striker crisis sorted out, with Charlie Austin return on the verge of return, where he is returned, sort of, amongst the substitutes, but one thing I will say is that as something went wrong there. As the scoreline, as you can see, is 0-0 at the moment. And as Burnley go, oh, a penalty is it? He's got to give a penalty for that. Oh, he's giving it the other way. Anthony Taylor's given a penalty, not given a penalty. Now, to me, that should be that should be a penalty for McCarthy on Barnes. He's giving it against Barnes on McCarthy, and the referee has absolutely angered. Almost a quarter of the stadium means he even booked Barnes to add insult to injury. How much more controversial decisions can Burnley take? This is pathetic. Ashley Barnes, for me, wins a penalty. Let's have a look at it again. Takes it down. That's a penalty. He's touched him. The ball is gone, and in my view, that's a penalty. That's a penalty in any way, shape or form. McCarthy knew what he was doing, and even 3/4 of the turf could tell you that that was a penalty. But unfortunately, the man that matters, Mr. Taylor, gave it the other way, and I do not understand his logic for that. That is a poor decision by the referee, and it's got to be said, to add insult to injury, Barnes has been harshly booked for that, when he just clearly and utterly did not do anything wrong. That's a penalty, and he's getting the birdie, Anthony Taylor, from the crowd. It looked a penalty from first glance. It had to be. But then again, when did Burnley ever get a penalty? Remember, December 2016 since Burnley last had a penalty. And it's getting ridiculous now. Everyone else is getting penalties, even Huddersfield at this moment in time. But our Burnley, not one jot at the moment. That is a real sad state of affairs when a referee just doesn't give a... it's a clear penalty. Whichever way you want to look at it, that is a penalty. And you can't... I cannot, believe what I've just said. It's just... you want to get the best... You want to get the decisions completely and utterly right. And when the referee doesn't quite clearly do that, it has to beg some questions. And there will be inquests into this, incidentally, folks. I can't see it being anything else, but I cannot believe there's a Southampton player down, by the way, as Vestergaard knocked the ball forward, and Bardsley just a little robust challenge in his challenging there, but nothing sinister. No, I think if he's booked Bardsley, then I think he's rather overdoing it a little bit. And if that is the case, then 2 Burnley players have now gone in the book. Indeed. But the first yellow card was very, very ridiculously poor. Be interesting to see what everybody on social media makes of this. Tom Eaton saying, come on, ref, you can't... There's 2 teams here you have to referee, not 1. I just think the way that the referee's been performing, I just find it very difficult to comprehend, quite honestly. This, to me, and I've seen it from 3 angles now, that's a penalty. He's tripped him up quite clearly. I mean, you could point to fans. I mean, there was fans in the Bob Lord, some in the cricket field, the long side, and the Jimmy Mack end, all all saying penalty. There was great appeals from the Burnley players, and they wouldn't appeal for it if they didn't think it was a cast iron penalty. I think Sean Dice must be asphyxiating at this moment in time, because that is, to me, is a penalty. Southampton have got away with it. Once again, when are people going to start taking us seriously and actually give actual penalties for us? Now that looked more a penalty than the one Jesse Lingard got the other day. Shocking decision by the referee as the ball goes long up towards Wood. A little flick on, but it'll come away. And Stevens to bring it away now for Southampton. 10 to play before the half-time interval, and my goodness, there will be some. Well, there'll be a very. I think Anthony Taylor will have to face a gauntlet of abuse here from the Burnley fans, and rightfully so. He'll have to take a lot of stick, because it looked to me, and you know, I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can, but that looked a clear penalty. You know, you look at the Jesse Lingard one on Tuesday and you think, well, why give a decision like that? And then you look at that one, which is more a cast iron penalty than the one United got against us, against the Clarets. And you just think, why is there such inconsistency amongst the top level referees? And there has to be serious questions asked. Here's Taylor now charging forward for the Clarets, and the ball out of play, and that will be a goal kick. Well, it is quite bewildering, and there will be questions asked. I'm sure Sean will have plenty of words to say about this if Burnley don't win this game. This is a 6-pointer. It's relegation at the stake, and when the referees can't get the simple, basic decisions in the world right, the questions have to be begged and asked. And unfortunately, it's just not been that way. As Taylor battles for the ball, and that's a foul there, and a free kick to the Clarets as Redmond fouled his man. And probably get a few ironic cheers for that as well. And and I just cannot believe Anthony Taylor's not given that. I think you look at that, and it's a clear penalty. How many more decisions do Burnley have to get? Any more games do we have to endure before we actually get a Premier League penalty? It just boggles the mind. Bedenet gets it out for a throw-in. Just really, really does my goat when a decision, and it was more clear a penalty today than the one at Old Trafford on Tuesday. I don't know whether to be angry or just find it completely laughable with these referees these days. I really can't decide what to believe anymore. But it's 0-0 here, and Burnley should have been given a penalty at this point in the game. The cross in, and that's gone behind. Has it for a goal kick? It has. So McNeil just getting his direct trajectory wrong with his crossing at the moment, but he's a confident lad. He'll get that sort of confidence back. As McCarthy takes another goal kick. Remember, we'll take a 10-minute break at half time and then reconvene for the second half of this game. But well, there will be there's a social media Clarets Turf 2. Unbelievable. If that's not a clear penalty, nothing is. And well, the referees may well need a police escort. And I thought the booking was wrong as well, although some corners are saying it was for a reaction. But you're going to feel a little bit unjustified when I mean, to me, that's clear cut. I mean, that's more clear cut than the Jesse Lingard one, in my opinion, and I find it bewildering. That we don't get a penalty for that. Remember, Burnley have not had a penalty in nearly 70 Premier League games, stretching back to December 2016. That's the issue that has gone rumbling on now for the last almost 3 years. 2.5 years almost since a Premier League penalty. Here's Long now, but that's a poor ball, and Taylor should be first to that on the far side, and he is. And in fact wins the ball by deflecting it off James Ward-Prowse and behind for a throw. So 5 to play. Controversy here at Turf Moor once again, as it always is with referees round these parts. Anthony Taylor at the centre of controversy, and he may well need a police escort come the end of this game if Burnley were to go on and not win this, because on tens of millions of pounds rest on decisions like his, and if he can't make the big decisions in the big games like this, then he should never have been a referee in the first place. And part of me thinks, and this is not me being biased at the moment, this is me being honest, I think part of me thinks, I think he's wearing a Southampton shirt at the moment, and that's not to be disrespectful to Southampton, it's just a fact of life at the moment, the way Burnley do not get clear-cut penalty decisions. Jeff Henrik now to not eat forward for the Clarets. I don't know what Burnley have done to upset the powers that be at the Professional Game Match Officials Limited. I really don't. And someone, if we knew where, if referees just did their job properly, regardless of which two teams are playing, and refereed the game to a very, very high standard, which is supposed to be the best standard of refereeing. You want the best league in one of the best leagues in the world to have the very best standards of refereeing in the world. Now you can see why there was no English officials at any of the World Cup games, because the officials are just shambolic at what they do in their job. There's at least half of them that just don't have the qualifications or announced to be a Premier League referee anymore. Anthony Taylor is certainly one of them. But here's the ball out towards Barnes. Hits it on the volley across the face and can't find Wood in the 6-yard area. And away goes James Ward-Prowse for Southampton. Another half a chance maybe. Wasn't expected to be put away. And Burnley fashioning something out of nothing. A nice little volley cross back from the right-hand side by Ashley Barnes. Timed his run to an absolute T. It just needed to be in front of Wood, and he may have got ahead on that. And that's the unfortunate thing of the whole exercise. So no naught here. Frustratingly, because Burnley I feel should be in front, but for an iffy refereeing decision by Mr. Taylor, who I felt should have given a penalty. And Southampton were very, very fortunate to get away with that. So will the goalkeeper. In a lot of fairness, this be Alex McPhee. I mean, the more I've seen it now on the replay, the more I feel that the referees need to take a close look at the way they react. And certain teams do not get certain decisions, and I feel that's not fair. And the refereeing fraternity have to look at this and think, right, what could we have done better? You know, the Professional Game Match Officials Limited need to look at this. It's just really, really poor that they're employing muppet referees like Anthony Taylor, who has given a free kick against Southampton. They got on with it very quickly, Ben Mee, and now the referee is, for God's sake, Burnley are trying to get on with the game, and now he's stopped it, and he's becoming a fussy referee for me. Okay, let him book Redmond or speak to him afterwards, but Burnley had a good situation there. And it just really annoys me that if it was Manchester City that were playing, the referee would allow it to happen. And that is the annoyance of the refereeing fraternity, that they favour the bigger clubs, they favour the more established big boys, and Burnley don't get that, I'm afraid. Here's the free kick now, Tom Eaton, and Southampton, to everyone's annoyance, they pulled everybody back when Burnley had a great situation as well. The referee's not winning too many friends with the locals here, I can tell you, and he's not won any friends with me. With this commentator either. And there'll be a lot of people saying, oh, old JB's up to his old conniving ways with referees, giving it large to say, oh, he would have given that decision and that decision. I'm calling it as I see it, guys. So anybody who's told me otherwise, I mean, I think I got called a biased so-and-so the other day. So sometimes you get criticised and sometimes you don't. It's one of those. Matt Howarth reckons he personally thinks that it was a good deal. 9 million an experienced striker. Well, time will tell. Meanwhile, Burnley have a free kick for a foul on Chris Wood, and Burnley now have a superb chance. But penalty should have been given. Slattery for me has not been in the book yet, and yet you've got Bardsley and Barnes who have made nothing really too much between them, and they're both in the book, where you've got someone like young Slattery who should be in the book by now, possibly even sent off. He's made 3 or 4 horrible challenges, and Anthony Taylor's let them ride. Free kick taken by McNeil into the area, and it's straight into the arms of the goalkeeper. We're into 2 added minutes, incidentally, at the end of the first half. There's so much to talk about that you don't realise we're into stoppage time until you have a glance up at the clock on your monitor. Here's a foul there. Oh, that looked harsh against Tarkowski. I'll tell you what, these referees, the way they're going about the business, they'll turn football into a non-contact sport at this rate. I mean, that's more of a foul on Jack Courtney by Vestergaard than Tarkowski on Long. I mean, why? I'll tell you what, if you take the physicality out of the game of football, you're setting football about 30, 40 years. You need the physicality in the game. And I feel that the referees are now not protecting everybody that plays the game. Doesn't matter if you're a skillful player or you're as Tom Eaton takes the free kick quite comfortably. We're inside the last 30 seconds, incidentally, because I mean it's going to be, I can just see the interview from Sean Dyche, if they go on to lose it or draw it, that the penalties have gone against them. I just cannot believe that is not a penalty kick. I mean, and you look at the Jesse Lingard one the other night, it just doesn't add up to me. As we played the 2 minutes and the referee goes, and he's getting a bird from the crowd, I can tell you now. Anthony Taylor at the centre of a controversy, and I feel that he's made a very poor decision. He's made several bad calls, but the worst was when Burnley had a clear penalty after about 32 minutes. Barnes went through, McCarthy took him out quite conclusively, in my opinion, and 20 different camera angles will back up what I'm saying, and 20,000 Clarets will back up what I'm saying here. Penalty wasn't given, and Barnes got a yellow card for quite wrongly for protesting when it was a clear penalty. Anthony Taylor's got a lot to answer to, and he's getting absolutely lynched by the Burnley fans. And do you know what? He deserves everything he gets at the moment, the referee. He's been poor throughout the first half. Southampton very lucky to still be at 0-0 with that decision, but that's the way it is at the moment, and I just cannot. I mean, we're looking at the moment of the game here. He takes it down. The goalkeeper's took him. There's no question about it. It's a penalty. And in any other circumstances, any other team, they would have got that decision. And then to compound insult to injury, Barnes gets a booking. I just don't understand it. In the Six Nations, Scotland 33, Italy 3. So it's not looking great for the Italians at the moment, as their Six Nations campaign's got off to a very, very poor start. The statistics: 5 attempts apiece, 1 on target to Burnley and Southampton 2. Possession 55 Southampton, 45 Burnley. Southampton 240 to 188 in passes. 1 corner in the game, that's gone to Burnley, and 6 fouls to 5 and 2 yellow cards, harshly done against Bardsley and Barnes especially, when you've got somebody like young Slattery who's been going around making rash and horrible late challenges, and the referees failed to spot them. Just before I go for half an hour, for 10 minutes I should say, not half an hour because we'll miss half the game. We'll miss half the game, funnily enough. So these are the scores as we have them. Everton are losing 2-1 to Wolves at half time. So that's happening. Chelsea have gone 2 up against Huddersfield. So these are the scores. Son scored the late winner for Tottenham against Newcastle. Brighton 0, Watford 0 is a half-time score. So is this game here. How it's 0-0, I'll never know. Chelsea 2, Huddersfield 0. I'll tell you the scorers. Higuain after 16 minutes, and Eden Hazard with a penalty. How ironic is that? After 45 plus 1. Crystal Palace again, ironically, for a penalty. Milijevic 25 minutes, slotting home the spot kick. And Everton 1, Wolves 2. another penalty. Can you see the irony of this? Neves with the first penalty after 7. Gomez with the equaliser after 27. But Raul Jimenez scored right on the stroke of half-time. And Marco Silva's team have been booed off the field at half-time. The Championship as follows: Birmingham 1, Forest 0, Brentford 1, you know who 2, you know who I'm talking about, Bristol City 0, Swansea 0, Hull 1, Stoke 0, Ipswich 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Millwall 0, Rotherham 0. They're still playing, incidentally, at Millwall. They're just into 1 minute of stoppage time at the new Den. Reading 0, Aston Villa 0, Sheffield United 0, Bolton 0, West Bromwich Albion 1, Middlesbrough 1. That's another big promotion, 6 pointer, that one. And Leeds Norwich kick off at 5:30, and that is a real 6 pointer there. That is for certain. And also we'll check on Scotland as well before we leave you in about... We'll also check on League 1s and 2s. Accrington, Blackpool, Lancashire Derby. Unfortunately, that was postponed. So the postponement curse strikes again at Accrington. Barnsley 2, Scunthorpe 0, Burton 0, Oxford 0, Coventry 0, Gillingham 0, Fleetwood 0, Charlton 0, Peterborough 0, Plymouth 0, Portsmouth 0, Doncaster Rovers 1. That's a bit of a shock down at Fratton Park. Portsmouth really going hard to get promotion back into the Championship. Shrewsbury 0, their rivals Luton 1. Southend 1, Bristol Rovers 2, Sunderland struggling a bit against Wimbledon 0-0 at the Stadium of Light, Walsall 1, Rochdale 1, and Wickham 0, Bradford City 0. And finally from League 2, before we take our 10-minute break, Bury 0, Crawley Town 0, Cheltenham against Cambridge, that was postponed because of a frozen pitch. Exeter 2, the MK Dons 0, Grimsby 1, Newport 0, Mansfield 1, Macclesfield 1, Northampton 0, Colchester 1, Notts County against Lincoln City, that's 1-1. Oldham against Morecambe, again a frozen pitch, put pay to that one. And same at Port Vale between them and Tranmere. Stevenage 0, Yeovil 0, and again at Swindon, the weather has put paid to another match in League 2. That game between them, Swindon Town and Forest Green Rovers, also postponed. Right, so 0-0 here at Turf Moor. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and I'm going to catch my breath and try and read out anything on social media that might be relevant to what's been going on as regards the appalling penalty decision that was not given in favour of Burnley just before half time. I hope you can rejoin me for full second half commentary, but at Turf Moor it's Burnley 0. In a frustrating first half, it's ended Burnley 0, Southampton 0. Welcome back to the turf for the second half, and of course I've just done my half-time wrap-up for Facebook, and I tell you what, if that's not a penalty in the first half, then I'm Mother Teresa, quite honestly. Sean Dyche will have been seething about that at half-time. Anthony Taylor was booed onto the pitch, and Ashley Barnes harshly booked as well. Well, there's going to be some more elements to this one, I can assure you of this. It's been a remarkable match so far, with anything that's gone in the favour, but it's still anyone's for the taking here. Southampton get us underway in the second half here on the JB Claret YouTube channel, and remember that this really is up for grabs now as Southampton go charging forward. An early shot coming in from about 30 yards out. And it came from Armstrong, former Celtic man. Took it down on his chest. Scores goals for fun in Scotland, but when you're down in England, it's a completely different story to when you're up in Scotland. 0-0, of course, is the scoreline at the moment. No changes, incidentally, from the end of the first half, where there was just the one change in around about the 20th minute mark when Danny Ings was injured and had to be replaced by Shane Long, incidentally. So just needed to let you know about that as Long falls over on the halfway line, but still, amazingly to his credit, keeps possession. And we've had a minute of the second half, and it's Burnley 0, Southampton 0. So the second half now, Southampton attacking the end where their fans are, the cricket field end. And Burnley now attacking the Jimmy McIlroy. They like to attack that in the second half, and all their fans populating that particular stand. Here's target now on the far side for Southampton. Burnley 0, Southampton 0 in the Clarets game live from Turf Moor. Been a decent performance so far from the Clarets. Just underline the fact that penalties are very hard to come by. But at the moment, it's not going the way of the Clarets at the moment. And really now they just need to rise above that undecision and really go for it in the second half, as Ward-Prowse chests it in, and a real opportunity here for Slattery, and still not away yet, and a big chance for Ward-Prowse, and then Slattery has a go with his right foot, but it's wide of the target. The man who should have been booked a couple of times, who had two opportunities to be booked in the first half for over the top challenges. Well, he didn't get, he tried to get his shot off there. Burnley did well though to charge it down. In fact, it's a corner from the near side, and well, this is not looking too good, promising for Burnley at the start of the second half. Corners, it's the first for Southampton in the game. There's only one corner throughout the first 45 minutes in the first half, as the corner now comes into Southampton. Their first flick towards the near post and off the line. Did the ball cross the line? The referee didn't say no, but Southampton have come the closest. Oh, now that would have been an even bigger pill to swallow. There was a crowd scene inside the penalty area. I couldn't tell from the sunlight here. That's gone very low down towards the pitch level. We got the touch there, but there was a bit of a scramble in there, and the man on the line got it there, and that's the value of having a man on both posts. Burnley had the men stationed and got it off the line well before the ball got to the goal line. And that's why it remains 0-0. That's a foul, surely, in favour of Burnley. It has to be. Foul definitely on Phil Bardsley. And it's all happened in this first half. Now, this is the Hawkeye. I don't even know who got the touch, but yes, it was a good couple of inches before the line, and I think the Hawkeye was spot on there, I think. So the only thing that's been spotted at the moment is the technology. It always does. In a lot of variations, play with the Clarets as the free kick is taken in from the right hand side. Barnes is jumping, would too, but the header at the back post is easily pouched by Alex McCarthy. It was Tarkowski, in fact, who headed towards goal, but was never troubling the scorers or goalkeeper Alex McCarthy. Well, it's a second half really that already, with 4 minutes of it gone, has had all sorts of implications on it, and as I say, we'll be bringing you the classified scores at the end. But really, really disappointing news, really, at the moment, and that could have even been even more. I don't even know who got the last touch there, as that ball was headed past Eaton and in towards the goal. Might have been one of the centre backs. It could have been. I'm just surmising who it could have been, but we didn't get a clear enough camera angle to see who got the touch towards goal as it was kicked off the line. All we got was the goal line cam in line and the Hawkeye cam, and that's all we got. As Target peels away on the far side, keeps the ball in play on the far side touch line, plays a 1-2 tries to play a 1-2 with Nathan Redmond, but Phil Bardsley again. Not standing no nonsense here, him and Redmond, and Bardsley is a very experienced campaigner, and you don't mess about with him. He's a big, bulky, muscular lad who's been there, seen it, done it, got the t-shirt. The ball laid into the Burnley penalty area, and Slattery again. Ball played across, and again desperate defending from the Clarets, but they've held on in there. We played 5 minutes of the second half in a real tense, nail-biting relegation 6-pointer here at the Turf. Burnley 0, Southampton 0, but Burnley have got possession here with Charlie Taylor. Taylor gets the ball forward, and it's a good ball towards Chris Ward. Now Westwood, who's had another good game in the heart of the midfield, and here goes Charlie Taylor past one man, which was Slattery. Now the ball out towards the far side, and it's Phil Bardsley now for the Clarets. It has been a real... Oh, and the ball from Bardsley was a little short, but Tarkowski rescued the situation just in the nick of time. And here goes Taylor now on the left hand side, feeds McNeil pirouettes. He had to pirouette because he had two Southampton players literally breathing down his neck. And here's Wood now picking up the loose ball. Burnley now need to just get the ball down and play some football. They've got Peter Crouch on the bench. I'll bring you the two benches in just a second. Southampton have used one incidentally as the ball is laid in, and the ball flicked behind Wood. But it might come for Taylor, and Taylor was checked quite conclusively there. And Ward Prowse must go in the book for this. Taylor there, the referee, and has he given a free kick? No, he hasn't. Why? Well, the crime sheet of the referee, Anthony Taylor, is mounting up against him here. First of all, the opportunity there for Barnes to flick it on. It went behind Wood. Now, to me, Ward Prowse took out Charlie Taylor. He had to have done. And the referee's given a goal kick. I just cannot believe the referee in here. Tell you what, when I do my full-time report when I come off the air here tonight on Facebook, the referee's certainly going to get a barrage of abuse from this particular commentator. McCarthy takes a goal kick that it should have been a 3-kick to Burnley. I was convinced it was a 3-kick to Burnley. It certainly did look a cast iron decision, and we'll be playing YouTube. We'll be playing highlights of the commentary on Facebook later, because there are one or two decisions that need to be talked about, and you'll understand what I mean by that. And here's McNeil now in the centre circle. Gone inside a little bit, and then Burnley have turned into a little bit of trouble here. And here's Slattery, who's lucky, in my opinion, to still be on the pitch. Here's Target on the far side for Southampton. The ball laid in, header comes in, a great save from Heaton. A great save, and I think it was Shane Long with the header. Heaton had to dive away to his left-hand side to pouch it away. It's a fantastic ball, it has to be said, by Matt Target. Good ball in there. And the header came in. It was a fantastic header. And a great save in the end from Tom Heaton. And it's gone behind for a goal kick. Still 0-0. Unbelievable scenes here. But still no way through. As Jack Corn now wins possession for Burnley. But Burnley now just... That's another foul that should have been given. How many more of these undecisions are Burnley going to fall victim to here? Anthony Taylor is winning no friends whatsoever inside this stadium right now. Here is the kick from Tom Heaton. The referee's got to get on his bike and start refereeing this game properly, because in my opinion he hasn't. Here's Stevens now for Southampton. 10 yards inside the Burnley half. Now plays it to the right hand side. Deep inside Burnley territory. James Ward-Prowse. Ball in. Tom Heaton's all the way. Just calms the pressure. Takes the heat out of the situation quite literally. And just tells everybody around him to calm down. Not get too giddy. and he kicks the ball away, looking towards Ward and Barnes. That looked a poor barge in the back, and the referee was no more than 3 yards away and did not give what looked for me, and I'm further away than he is, a clear foul. And here's Redmond now for Southampton. How many more decisions is the referee not going to give than the clear and obvious ones? Oh my goodness, this is shocking from Anthony Taylor. It's completely, utterly shocking. I just cannot believe the refereeing performance of this man. Here's Redmond with a shot. He's gone in the corner. Oh, and that's insult to injury. Nathan Redmond, with 10 minutes gone in the second half, has just put Southampton in front. Oh my word. The Southampton fans cheer, and the Burnley fans around me are perplexed with rage, because everything has gone against him today, refereeing decisions and everything else. But then again, Burnley did not close Redmond down quickly enough. Hits the right-footed shot. Tom Eaton couldn't see it until very, very late, and it goes agonisingly into the left-hand corner of the net, and it's huge heartbreak here for Burnley. And what a moment for Southampton, who have had to use up a lot of luck today. There's no doubt about it. I'm not suggesting that Ralph Husenerdel has paid the referee in any way, shape or form, but some of the decisions here, I hate to add, have been ridiculous, and it should be Burnley that's winning this football match and not Southampton, but that's the way it goes in football. And sometimes in this crazy game, justice is never done. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. But the referee will have a lot to answer to. Burnley will feel hard done by, and I mean that looks more, and another foul that wasn't given. When is the referee going to start giving fouls? Southampton are getting away with blue murder here today. Joey McNeil now. But Burnley have come from the dead before and they got back strongly. They have to stay positive here. 1-0 is still a chance, but here comes Southampton. It feels like the 12th minute of Southampton, and that's not me being biased. Here's Redmond, who's a terrific player, and he took his goal tremendously well, it must be said. And here's Target, who's had a decent game on the near side, and that's almost an own goal. Almost an own goal by Tarkowski. Should have left it for Tom Eaton. And Burnley here are in all sorts of disarray here, caused mainly by the goal and the iffy refereeing of Anthony Taylor, which has really got their backs up here. And this now is not what we wanted to see. The Clarets game live, we have a goal. And if any Burnley fans are listening, it's sad news. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. Redmond after 56 minutes with the goal. Burnley had a really good penalty appeal turned down wrongly. This really is up against it now as the corner comes into the penalty area, and for a moment I thought Southampton were going to get into score another from close range, but there was an infringement thankfully, and it's behind, and a free kick has been given. Goodness gracious me. Well they are. The referee is, for me, is starting to get on my wick here. Henrik has run his heart out today. I don't think there's much question about that. Let's check what's been happening elsewhere. Scotland leading Italy now. The gap has been reduced to 33 points to 20 in the Six Nations at Murrayfield. And in the Premier League, let's check the scores very quickly. Very disappointing news here at the turf as Barnes tries to hold the ball up. We'll try and get Goodmanson forward, and Vestergaard gets it away. So these are the scores as we have them. Spurs 1 against Newcastle, you know about that one. Brighton 0, Watford 0. Burnley 0, Southampton is the game you're listening to. Crystal Palace 1, Fulham 0, and Everton 1, Wolves 2. So at the moment it might not be all bad news with Fulham losing, and if Bournemouth were to get something from Cardiff today, then Burnley would be saved by the other results. But have they not been helped by some very, very, very poor officiating from Mr. Anthony Taylor. But having said that, you can't take away the accuracy and the brilliance of the strike from Redmond. You've got to be honest and say, hold your hands up and say, brilliant goal. But it does leave a bitter taste in the mouth, one has to say. Ben Mee heading it forward, looking towards Chris Wood. Cook will try and win the next ball inside the centre circle, but it's pinched away by Armstrong. And now Stevens to hit it forward for Southampton, playing the back three, and it's working a treat for them, one has to say, although some of the decisions have been absolutely scandalous in their favour. The ball will be shepherded out by one of the Southampton defenders, and it's a goal kick. But it's Nathan Redmond's goal after 55 minutes. That's putting Southampton on the road to victory. Vestergaard playing the ball played in there, and really they backed off. And maybe Cork should have got a foot in a lot better. He was nutmegged as well in the build-up to that, incidentally. So we played an hour here. Burnley in trouble, 1-0 down, but have not been helped by some very unsympathetic refereeing. I think the referee was going to blow then, and then Bardsley had possession and suddenly decided to give an advantage. I'm not sure how much of an advantage that was, but here's Westwood with a cross and he deflects, and it is a Burnley corner. Now then, a real chance here for Burnley to react. That's a little bit more better from the Clarets. That's much more of a positive nature. Boy, is my full-time report over on Facebook tonight going to be one hell of a report. 2 corners apiece. Now then, Johanberg Gudmundsson. So much to Burnley saving in the past. Gets the corner in, and it's a decent one. And the header goes in. Oh, and the chance inside the 6-yard area, and somehow the goalkeeper's poured it out when it looked as dead certain that Burnley were going to equalise. You've got to say well done Alex McCarthy there, because that was a very difficult moment for him there, and Barnes may have been offside, but the flag didn't go up, and maybe that would have been a little bit of justice, even though it would have been the wrong decision, considering that Burnley were harshly dealt with a penalty that should have been, well, wasn't. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. Don't think on the balance Southampton have deserved it. Here's Jack Cork in the centre of the park. Back to Ben Mee. Mee controls, gets the ball out. Taylor. He's had a good game today, Charlie Taylor. Been again impressed with the way that he's kept the possession well. But at the moment, it's not about trying to keep possession. It's about trying to get the ball forward here. Southampton winning here at Burnley. Here's McNeil for the Clarets. Finds Taylor. Burnley will not give up until the dying breath, embers of this game, until their dying breath as the ball comes in, and it's McCarthy's all the way. Barnes frustrated, he can't make a forward and put a foot wrong because he's on a booking, and that was a very harsh decision. Peter Crouch has to, well, they'll be hoping that Crouch comes on here. Sean Dyche can't leave it too late. I think the latest he could possibly leave it, Sean Dyche, to bring another striker on would be the 70th minute. And Burnley will still have a chance then with at least 25 minutes to go, because there's going to have to be about 4 or 5 minutes of time and on at the end of this. As the ball is fed forward, looking towards Wood, stayed down, and the ball hooked out for a throw-in. Matt Target knocking the ball out of play. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. As we edge towards the 63rd minute of the game. Almost 63 gone. Attendance has been confirmed at 19,787, so a couple of hundred or so shy of the 200 mark, of the 20,000 mark I should say. Here's Charlie Taylor now on the ball, plays it to Jack Cork, still inside the Southampton half, and then Westwood uncharacteristically loses possession, and the referee has blown for has given an advantage and then has to pull the game back, but he hasn't, and no, and the referee carries on. Maybe that's to Burnley's advantage as the ball is lifted in there and it's knocked away by Vestergaard. 1-0 to Southampton, and here they come again, and it's Redmond on the break, and he's taking on Ben Mee. Mee has to be a lot tighter, and Tarkowski tag teams with Ben Mee and gets it out. And Burnley now can't afford to be too blasé now. They must be no nonsense and must take the fight to Southampton. They can't afford to be too intricate now. They can't be ticky-tacky. They can't afford to do that. Burnley 0, Southampton 1 as we come up towards 64 minutes gone. Here's Charlie Taylor now for the Clarets. 1-0 down, remember. Redmond's goal after 55 minutes is the difference between the two teams. Here's Bardsley rather. Bardsley has the ball over on the far side. Burnley 0, Southampton 1, remember, in the Premier League. We'll bring you the other scores as soon as we get a break in play. Taylor trying desperately to keep the ball in play, and he succeeded. Taylor now, the ball will break to Jack Cork. Jack Cork now having to turn. He's done really well against his old side. Not a very good ball though, headed away by Vestergaard. Rather theatrically, or rather dramatically I should say. Here's Taylor on the left hand side for Burnley, still inside the Southampton half. At the moment the game being played exclusively in the Saints half. And the ball now back to Ben Mee. They can't afford to go backwards, they have to go forward now. Up towards Ashley Barnes. Barnes will jump. Woodall taken on the edge of the area. Chest control. Goes inside the penalty area, but again, a little bit higgledy-piggledy. But Burnley have got themselves a throw in. A little bit of a cheap one perhaps, but it's a bit of luck they may well just get as they take the throw quickly. And it's legal as well. On the near side by Taylor. Back to McNeil. Now Taylor bunning down that side. And that's surely got to be a goal kick, corner, but it isn't. It's a goal kick. 65 gone. Southampton breathe again. Well, a game that's been won in complete and utter controversy here. So let's see what's happening elsewhere, shall we? Tottenham won earlier today, 1-0 against Newcastle. Brighton 0, Watford 0. That's petering out at the moment to a goalless draw. 1-0 Southampton in this game. Chelsea 2, Huddersfield 0. Palace 1, Fulham 0. And it's still Everton 1, Wolves 2. Not a good day if you're a Claret, I'm afraid. Here's Taylor to hit the ball down the left-hand side. Taken down beautifully. They looked a high foot there. And Stevens should be going in the book for me, because high foot should be now punished with a yellow card. But Burnley have a set play. I just wonder if it was in the penalty area, would he have given a penalty? That's the age-old adage of hindsight of refereeing, I suppose. But it did look a penalty in the first half. I don't think there's much question about that. Here's Westwood with the free kick into the penalty area, and it's a poor free kick. It's a poor free kick. Hit it far too hard. It just had too much power on it and too much width, and it remains 1-0, and it's gone down for a goal kick to Southampton. Burnley have been brilliant again today, but they can count themselves a very unfortunate, to be quite honest with you. As McNeil takes possession. The ball played in there towards Ben Mee. Now McNeil wins possession. McNeil gets the ball back. McNeil will run at defenders. And he'll get a throw in here. This really is a game they needed to win today. Remember, they've got to go to the Amex next week to play Brighton. And you'll be able to hear that live on the Clarets game. 5:30 kickoff with me. A week today, that's our next live Premier League football, incidentally. As the long ball is hit forward, and it's going to be straight into the arms of McCarthy, I'm afraid. This is not the way it was meant to be. Burnley's so good at Turf Moor. In the last 2 seasons they've made it a fortress here, but with 67.5 minutes gone, as we come towards the halfway mark of the second half, there's a bit of pushing and shoving. There's an off the ball incident. I'm not sure if the referee spotted that. If he has, then we could have a Burnley player in a little bit of trouble here. It's Shane Long that's gone down, and he's not one really to go down too easily, I suppose. But we'll just have to see about that one, really, to be quite honest. It's Burnley now keeping possession with Tarkowski. 1-0 to Southampton. Burnley they scored the next goal. That looked a clear foul there on Taylor, but it's still and Westwood, I should say. Mr. Taylor again. I think he's very quick to give Southampton everything, and Burnley not so much. Here's Bardsley now for Burnley, down the right hand side. Oh my goodness me, it's shocking. That was not a good ball from Phil Bardsley. And what was actually Barnes supposed to do with that? How long does he leave it? Well, he's got a couple of minutes before making his decision. I think at this point he has to bring on Peter Crouch. I tell you what, if he does bring on Peter Crouch and he scores 2 goals, I think I'll take back what I said the other day. Here's Barnes, and Wood is offside again. When is he going to learn, Chris Wood, that he has to be in line? Linesman, it was the simplest decision he's had all afternoon, quite honestly. definitely off. There's no doubt about that as the ball was played. Wood has just got to stay a little bit more patient. Otherwise, he's going to get flagged offside so many times, and he's the most, I think he's the most player caught offside, and that's the big problem with Chris Wood. He'll get you goals, there's no doubt about it, but the amount of time he frustrates you sometimes during the game is unparamount. So 1-0 here. It's not looking good for Burnley. Elsewhere, Wolves are winning, Chelsea are winning, and it's not looking good really for Burnley. Wolves are winning. As I just had to go back, Woodpecker the third. He said, "Okay, bye. I'm sorry, but I haven't got the chat on the PS4." Still 0-0. Burnley, not Burley. It's Burnley, not Burley. Get the pronunciation right, Victor Villarreal. Nice to know that you are on Burnley's side, but at the moment it's not going the way of the Clarets at the moment. And here comes Southampton now through the centre, and the ball laid into the far side, and it's Target who hits the shot left foot, and it's come off a defender. It was Phil Bardsley. Good defending by Phil Bardsley, getting in the way. 20 minutes just under to go. Plus stoppage time. It's not looking good for the Clarets. It's Burnley 0, Southampton 1, and Southampton have a throw in on the far side, almost level with the penalty area of Burnley. And as long as it's down at that end for Southampton, they'll be delighted about that. Southampton get another throw in, but there's a lot of, I think there'll be a lot of fingers pointed at the man in black tonight. Now I wonder if Peter Crouch is going to come on at some point, or is it Robbie? Well, if it's Robbie Brady, I don't understand why. You would think with 20 minutes to go, you stick on Crouch and go for the front three. I mean, I'd go for front three and try and do it, unless he's planning a double substitution. I'm not quite sure. I hope so anyway, because we need the fresh legs. Maybe Peter Crouch could help in that sort of respect. But it's Burnley 0, Southampton 1. That looked a handball there when the Southampton player was controlling it, and the referee didn't spot it again, and he was 4 yards away from the incident. How many more of these poor decisions is he going to give against the Clarets here? Didn't give a penalty, didn't give clear fouls when he was 3 yards away. The referees had a shocker for me. And the Referees Association have to get down and talk to, and the powers that be with the referees, they need to start getting down here. As Burnley try to go forward, they get a throw in level with the Southampton penalty area on the right hand side. The far side, Goodmanson hasn't really made an impact since coming on. Goodmanson is onside from the throw in. The ball back to Bardsley. This needs to be a good cross. It's a poor one. It's charged down. This needs to be better from Burnley. They can't afford to make mistakes. That was not a good cross from Phil Bardsley. And the ball through the centre. Unfortunately, it's not going to do any damage for Burnley. It's with Tom Heaton now. And Heaton now is a virtual spectator. He hasn't had much to do since the goal. Here's Dwight McNeil. Maybe he's going to be replaced in a second or two. Dwight McNeil taking on all comers. And he's passed 3. He's passed 4 down that near side. He's had to play it off to Charlie Taylor though. And McNeil makes a good run. Can he keep it in? No, it wasn't good enough. The ball from Taylor. It's not good enough. Too much weight on the pass, and that is the frustration. The ideas are good, but they're not being executed properly, and the reward for a bold move by McNeil was an awful overhit ball with too much weight on it from Charlie Taylor. That was poor from his standards. Is Robbie Brady about to come on, or is he coming off? I don't think he's going to come on. Is Brady going to stay out and stay on the... Well, he's leaving it late to make another change here, Sean Dyche. He needs to get more fresh bodies on. He can't afford to make mistakes at 1-0 down. We need fresh legs on. What part of that does Sean Dyche not understand? Here's Dwight McNeil once again. Back to Charlie Taylor. Taylor turns, pirouettes. Burnley need a goal now and quick. They've got less than just over 15 minutes to go for 16 plus stoppage time. They need something here. They're still in the game, hooker by crook, but they should be winning the game in the first half. Here's Bardsley. Bardsley gets past his man, gets a cross in it again. It wasn't a particularly good cross, but still Burnley have possession. They need something now. The cross in from the far side. Header one and wide, and by the penalty spot from Ashley Barnes, a glancing header, but it goes wide. An inch or two wide of the left-hand post of Alex McCarthy, who watches it go by. and a goal kick with yourselves under 16 minutes plus stoppage time to play. And Peter Crouch now instead of Robbie Brady has been coming on now. So Burnley are reacting, and I think Crouch might just be the man they need. Crouch can score with his head. We've seen that down the years. But is he good enough at 38? He hasn't obviously played regularly for Stoke, but he did score in the FA Cup the other week. I remember in the third round game against Shrewsbury where Stoke were heading out at that point, and he got an equaliser to bring them back into it. So anything could still happen yet. McNeil with a cross. Just needs a good ball. Maybe if they can land it, if they can get Crouch on ASAP and get it on his head, maybe they've got still a chance here for the Clarets. We are resorting to desperate measures here. Here's Taylor now. All that could have been avoided if the referee refereed it properly though. Here's Taylor. He's done really well and he's got a corner out of it for his efforts. That was better from Charlie Taylor. Really impressed with the way he went, bowled down that left-hand channel and almost got the cross in, and he's Peter Crouch about to enter the tray. Now I wouldn't be surprised in the least if it was Chris Wood he replaced. I would not be surprised in the least that if it was Chris Wood. Yep, and my premonition and my prophecy was spot on. Chris Wood has not really been up for it today. Been called offside a couple of times, maybe two or three times too many. But here's Peter Crouch, all 6'7" of him. He may be 38, and I may have slagged him off a little bit yesterday. But if he comes and equalises, boy, we'll be thanking him here. And he's inside the penalty area and he's pushing and shoving as this corner comes in. Crouch comes in at the back post. His considerable height may well be an advantage here at set plays. As the ball is knocked out towards Bardsley on the halfway line. The ball back towards the edge of the area. Here is Tom Heaton. Has to take a touch, and then remember, with Long on top of him, he was there as well. The ball evades Jack Cord, but it'll come here for Tarkowski. Crouch needs to be waiting at the far post, but the cross from Bardsley just wasn't there. And he's lucky really to get a throw in for that, because that cross really was feeble. There's a Southampton player down injured on the far side. And I'm not sure whether this is an attempt to tie waste. There is a substitution being made, and it's number 43 Valeri who's about to enter the fray. He's going to be replacing Armstrong. So Armstrong off, Valeri on, and for Ralph Husenhurdle's team. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. A rare victory for Southampton on the cards at the moment, unless Burnley can find an equaliser in the 14 plus stoppage time. Crouch went in the header, almost getting there. He'll fall to Barnes, and Howard's McCarthy saved it to me. Burnley's knocked away, and Howard's Ashley Barnes not scored there. McCarthy just threw himself in the way of the shot, and that should have been the equaliser. Still not over yet. Here's Goodmanson. Crouch waits at the far post. It's in towards Crouch, Barnes, and they both went for the same ball. Unbelievable stuff. Crouch almost making it pay there within 2 minutes of his introduction, and Ashley Barnes, well, we'd be wondering from here to eternity why he didn't score there, but one has to give McCarthy credit for narrowing the angles. Burnley aren't finished yet, and the ball breaks kindly to McNeil. Still 1-0 amazingly to Southampton. Here's Westwood now to Taylor. McNeil's gone infield a bit more. We need him out on that left hand side, I feel. Here's Dwight McNeil. Well, he could whip a ball in for Peter Crouch, and Crouch is waiting now. Taylor now needs to whip a ball in into McNeil. McNeil needs to turn here. Finds Westwood. They just can't get the ball in the area. They're going backwards. They need to be going forwards here. Here's Tarkowski. Burnley cannot afford to start messing around at this stage. 12 minutes to go. Burnley 0, Southampton 1 in a game that they have to take something from. I'll take a point right now if it was offered. Here's Cork. Has the momentum fizzled out in this attack? Looks as if it has, I'm afraid. And it's going to be a Southampton ball, to the frustration of every Burnley player. But they made a rub for their own backs, I'm afraid, because they had chances, ample chances to cross in, and this is what the value of Crouch. If you can get on top of him there, he forced a mistake, and Barnes should have scored. Should have scored here. I think I may have over-egged the goalkeeper there a bit, because it was straight at him, in fairness. Barnes should have hit it either side. So maybe I was doing the goalkeeper, I think I was over-crediting the goalkeeper a little bit there. as Long keeps possession for Southampton. Remember, they lost Danny Ings. And here's a chance now for Valeri. He's onside on the right hand channel. Valeri with a cross back, but there's nobody in yellow, thankfully, and from a Clarets point of view, waiting in the centre in a threatening position. And all Southampton get for that is a throw in. They shouldn't really be winning this football game. Crouch urging Southampton to get on with it. Time is at a premium here. Burnley haven't got time on their side. They haven't had anybody on their side today, including the referee, who's supposed to be impartial. And the relegation worries now deepen a little bit for the Clarets, unless they can come up with a sort of a miracle turnaround in the last sort of 10 minutes. They've deserved something from the game, Burnley, and they should have been in front before half time, but for that penalty decision that wasn't given. And it was the clearest penalty decision I think I've seen all season, as the ball is hooked away by Westwood. It's out of play. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. It shouldn't be that way. But once again, you've got to give credit to Nathan Redmond. It was a glorious finish. 10 to play. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. Time is at an essence, and the referee should be adding time on here for time wasting. But Dwight McNeil's about to come off. Well, McNeil maybe is probably tired himself out. He is a willing runner, Dwight McNeil, and he'll carry the fight, but I think he became a little bit leggy towards the end, so I think that's a fair enough change. Robbie Brady can whip them in, and that might be tailor-made for Peter Crouch. Not saying it would have been from Dwight McNeil. I just think Brady, the way he whips the balls in, fantastic, as Redmond tries to waste more time. I think it's a bit early from Southampton's point of view to be going into the corner flags. I think they're happy at the 1-0 at the moment, but Burnley get a throw in by the near far side corner quadrant, but it's deep in their own territory, which is not where they want to be at this moment in time. And Southampton, believe it or not, get a throw in. I thought it was the other way. Goodness grief, this referee is getting right up my nostril right now. Burnley 0, Southampton 1, and I'm feeling I'm not trying to be biased against Southampton. It was a great goal for them to strike, but now Burnley have deserved something from this game. Here's Charlie Taylor for the Clarets. They've deserved something. Here's Ben Mee. 1-0, they trail. They shouldn't be trailing here, the Clarets of Burnley. The long ball forward. Barnes might get there, but Vestergaard cooks it up for another throw-in. Now this is where Burnley need to hook that ball into the area, get it on Crouch or Barnes' head. If they can get it on target, then the equaliser could not be far off coming. Here's Bardsley now. Has to go to Westwood to Brady to knock a ball in. It comes off the defender. Wasn't really the right angle for a cross, incidentally. Ben Mee now to Charlie Taylor to hook the ball in. That's a better ball, but he wasn't going to be reaching Peter Crouch, however. Southampton dealing with everything that's Burnley are throwing at them with 8 minutes to play. We've had 82 minutes of the game. Flick on in there, and the volley off the crossbar from 6 yards out with the right foot. Ashley Barnes again. How unlucky can you get? That would have been a fantastic goal if it connected. The flag stayed down. He was definitely onside. The flag didn't go up. Barnes caught it so sweetly, and it hit the crossbar. Is it just one of those games? Is it just one of those times where it's just not going to be your day? You're getting that feeling now. Everyone was cheering when that was knocked towards goal, and then it just rocketed back off the crossbar, and hooked away it was, to the obvious delight of the Southampton fans. But Burnley come again. They're not giving in this game by any stretch. That's one thing they haven't done today, and that's a good positive. If there's any positives to take from this, the fact that they're not giving in. They do get a throw in. Vestergaard just about nulling it out the right side, and this really is now, it's all going to go down. It's a dramatic climax. There is no doubt about that. I think we've had our fair share as the ball gets hooked in there. It's never going to be fine, Peter Crouch, and the ball comes away by Shane Long. Wedmond has got away from his man. He's away from Ben Mee, and Ben Mee had to take him down, but it's knocked out. And I have to say the referee has been rather biased towards Southampton in some of the decisions that he has made, and that's me not being unkind to Southampton. That's me being unkind to the referee. I think that has to be said, as Ben Mee had to Well, I didn't think it was a foul, to be honest with you. Redmond just went down rather easily. And if he has booked Ben Meek, oh, for God's sake, the referee's performance is getting even more shocking by the minute. Free kick in, 84 gone. Southampton now up on as things stand, are on course for a victory. A throw into Burnley. Brady to take it. No foul on Shane Long, incidentally. Burnley need an equaliser, and fast. Ben Meek, oh, to God's sake, get it forward, and he's gone back to the goalkeeper. This is not the way to play the game. Now then, Tarkowski must go forwards and not backwards. Tarkowski now, this is better from the Clarets. They're bravely going forward. They have to bold and be boldly going where no Burnley player's gone before. Here's Taylor, and he just couldn't thread it through. He'll get a second chance here. Oh, I thought for a moment it might have been a crossing opportunity. Brady now, Westwood, this is a perfect angle for a cross, and it is a perfect angle. Flick on it, but it's straight into the arms of the goalkeeper, and Crouch was lurking at the back post, which made it a little bit more awkward for McCarthy. But Westwood got the angle this time for a cross, and it was a good one, and I think Barnes flicked it on, but it was straight into McCarthy's hands. As the goal kick is taken from his hands, 1-0 to Southampton. They're hanging on in there, the Saints, to give them their fair dues, but how many? Well, they have been helped by some very sympathetic refereeing, one must say. As Heaton kicks long, and the ball will break very kindly here, and it comes to Taylor. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. Taylor hits a long ball inside the penalty area. Crouch jumping again, but fouls his man, and a free kick, and Peter Crouch can't believe that one. Oh my goodness, there's another player going down. I can't tell who that is. It may have been Stevens here, but Crouch is no. I mean, Crouch has gone in there. Yeah, he's caught his man, I'm afraid. And that was probably one of the easier decisions that the referees had this afternoon. But some of the, well, he's had some more easier decisions than that one. And it's not going to get any easier now as Nathan Redmond comes on, and the next Claret, Charlie Austin, who invariably does score against Burnley quite a lot in his time. He scored for us scored against us for QPR, amongst others. This is the goal again, and it really was poor defending. This from Jack Cork was just lazy. Should have got a better footing than what he did, and he allowed Redmond a free shot at goal, and he took it. You got to say he took it well, but Jack Cork, that was absolutely scandalous play by him. Here's Barnes now for the Clarets. Less than 3.5 minutes to go. Well, stoppage time. They've got to be at least 4, maybe 5 minutes. I'll be amazed if it's anything less than that. Here's Ben Mee. There's no certainties anymore in football, as we found out at Old Trafford the other night. Here's Robbie Brady now, down the side, and he has to find Crouch. Oh, he almost did as well. I'll tell you what, Vestergaard had to get there, otherwise Crouch was in for an equaliser. Good running by Brady. It was really good running down the left-hand side. Burnley are still not finished yet. Boy, if Goodmanson can get it on Crouch's or even any of the central defenders' heads, it would be a real blasting. And the ball bouncing around, and it just wouldn't break for anybody in Clarets and Blue. And Goodmanson now has it on the far side. Burnley are not finished yet. Goodmanson with a good ball in, and it's a testy 1-2. And the ball still breaks to the Clarets, but it's just while breaking the penalty area. Ball hooked in there towards Crouch. Wins the header. Comes away. And hooked away by Austin. 3 minutes to play. Burnley on the cusp of defeat. Burnley on the cusp of defeat here, as they come forward once again. 2 minutes left to play. Burnley are on course for defeat here, and they've given a throw-in away, which is not helping. Boy, is my full-time report on Facebook going to be some explosiveness or what? Blatant time wasted now by Rathroos and Erdl, Southampton. McCarthy taking at least 30 or 40 seconds over that free kick that they got. But Burnley are not done yet. 90 seconds just under the go. They can still do it. They can still salvage a point from this game. It should be all free by rights if the referee had refereed it properly. Once again, you've got to. That's another we've been on the end of some dire refereeing in the last 2 games, and that is the annoyance of the whole situation. Westwood has been caught in the face, but the free kick's gone against him. 1 minute and 90 to go. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. And it's not been Burnley's day, bar none today, I'm afraid. And there's got to be at least 4, maybe 5 minutes of stoppage time. There has to be. We're praying for miracles here. Nothing's certain in football, as we all know. Out comes McCarthy. Won't find Barnes. 30 seconds of the abnormal time to play. Burnley 0, Southampton 1. And McCarthy now taking his time, wasting seconds. And I don't understand why referees don't apply the 6-second rule in these situations on goalkeepers. I really don't. Here's Shane Long. Target has been booked. I'm not sure what the offence was for, but I'm sure we'll find out a bit later. Here's Ashley Barnes, though, on the right-hand side. This needs to go towards Peter Crouch, but it's not going to reach him, I'm afraid. Crouch needs to go a little bit further towards the penalty spot, I feel, if he's going to get on the end of any balls. 4 minutes at the end. Fair enough. 4 or 5 I was hoping for. We get 4. 4's okay. Still time yet for Burnley. We've played 14 seconds over, and again the referee should be adding time on for what McCarthy's doing. Complete and utter time wasted. Now in my book is cheating. As the long ball comes forward, it's looking for Brady, who's onside. Brady's first touch wasn't the best, but Burnley get the throw on the near side. Southampton holding on here. And my goodness, they're holding on by fingernails. And the fingernails are being shown down. Burnley should be level. They've hit the bar. They forced a big save from McCarthy. There's got to be another big opportunity in there for the Clarets to save a point. A point would not be a disaster at this stage of the season. But they're giving it away. That's rather careless, I'm afraid. And now, Long on the break. We had no support with him, and Tarkowski, with the help of Charlie Taylor, recovered. We've played a minute of the 4. There's just under 3 left to play. Here's Bardsley. This is not going to... They're not going to take the mickey now. They've got to not waste any more time. They've got to hoof it into that penalty area. And they've found Barnes. Chance here. Can they knock the ball back? Crouch waits at the far post, but he can't be found. The ball's gone out of play. And another chance goes begging. Westwood just couldn't get the ball back enough. Burnley are on the brink of a defeat here. Had to hook the ball back, and Crouch was never going to reach that, I'm afraid. Even 6'7" can't even reach them. We're coming fast approaching halfway past the 2-minute mark now of the 4. And again McCarthy taking at least 30 seconds over a goal kick. You know, what happened to fair play in football? As the long ball is headed up towards Barnes, but Stevens is there for Southampton. But there will be boos for the referee, because I believe that decision was a game changer, not to award them what looked to me a cast iron penalty. And I will make that perfectly clear in my post-match report later, that it was one of the worst decisions I think I've seen all season from a referee. We've got about 90 seconds of stoppage time. Burnley are still in with a shout. If they can get an equaliser, it will be justice. A little bit of justice done. Here's Bardsley. Why is he retreating back about 5 yards from the ball when Southampton players are clearly closing him down? Still might break for Burnley. And that looked a handball there. The referee again didn't spot it. How many more poor decisions is he going to make in the course of this game? Here's Westwood to knock the ball in. Dennison trying towards Crouch. And they appeal for a penalty. I think he's giving it. I think he's giving it for hands, and Burnley have been ordered a penalty for the first time in 70 games. For the first time in 70 games, the penalty's been given, and maybe Anthony Taylor could end up being a Burnley hero after all. Stevens with his hand, he hit his hand, it was sky high, and a penalty had to be given. Good decision, and Anthony Taylor this time was brave and was good enough to give the penalty, and maybe, just maybe, justice could well be done. 30 seconds of stoppage time to go, and Ashley Barnes is a no-nonsense penalty taker, rarely fails from the spot. This could be a big moment in Burnley season. It's a shortish run-up, right-footed against McCarthy, who saved everything that's been thrown at him in sundry. Barnes right-footed, scored into the corner, and Burnley have deserved it. It's 1-1 at the turf, and Ashley Barnes has equalised. What a fantastic finish! What a fantastic finish! Ashley Barnes with the penalty. We played for 4 minutes, and Burnley have got what they deserved. A clear penalty that was never given in the first half. They should have conceivably had 2 penalties plus this one. But maybe the referee was right this time. But Stevens made a run for his own back by putting his arm up. And when you do that, doesn't matter what part of the anatomy comes off first, you run the risk of giving a penalty away. And I think the referee for once made the correct decision. And there it is, the full-time whistle. And Burnley deserved at least a point from the game. They deserved all 3, really, in truth, because they were the more enterprising side. But in the end, they got the penalty, and the first penalty in 70 matches, converted magnificently from Ashley Barnes, has given Burnley what could be a game-changing point. And the referee is now being escorted by Southampton players, but they got away with one in the first half, and maybe for once, justice in this crazy game has been done. Ralph Rusanerdel is frustrated, but if he sees the replay, I'm afraid that Stevens has made a run for his own back. And when you put your arm up, you risk at all your peril that you give a penalty away, and that's what he did. Jack Stevens gave a penalty. It was hands. He had the ball. His hand was up high, and in my opinion, the referee decided to give a penalty. He had to order a penalty from there on in. And the whistle, and in the end, what a cold customer Ashley Barnes was. He could have had a hat-trick conceivably today, but they got a point, and that's what counted. Wow. How were your nerves? Burnley, after 70 games, have been awarded a penalty and have got away with a point. We're going to take 5 minutes and then give you the full classified results. And then after that, a match report as well from the turf. But let's oh, what a cool penalty! What a penalty that was! And aye, Ashley saves the Clarets yet again. It's finished here 1-1. And what a finish it has been here. We're going to take 5 minutes and then go for the full classified results then. Okay, see you in 5 minutes for the full classified results. Welcome back, everybody, to Turf Moor, where we're just about to do the final, just to wrap up the final part of the broadcast here from the Turf, where we're going to do the full classified results, and we'll take you through the tables as things stand at the moment. But boy, well, I've just done my report on Facebook, and my goodness me, I had to pack so much into 3 or 4 minutes there. But never mind, we've got a point, and I can relax now with the Six Nations, knowing that we've got something from the game. Right, well, we're going to do the classifieds in a second or two, because it's just ticked after 5 o'clock, so we're going to do the full classifieds in a second or two. It's been a remarkable day down at the Turf. 1-1 it finished in a very controversial game where a penalty was failed to be ordered in the first half. Well, we got one ordered in the second half, and in the end, Burnley came back from the dead, and Brentford, even better, have beaten Blackburn Rovers by 5 goals to 2. Fantastic results, and Hull have strengthened their grip on the playoffs by beating Stoke by 2 goals to 0. Well, what a day it has been, and anybody that doesn't enjoy Premier League football, well, to hell with it. Because what we saw today was determination. When Burnley looked as if they were in trouble, boy, did they drag themselves out of it. Exeter 3, NK Dons 1, Aberdeen 1 at Hibernian, QPR 2, Wigan 2, QPR 1, Notts County and Lincoln drew 1-1. Top against bottom. Millwall held against Rotherham, which is a little bit of a surprise, although both teams are scrapping for their lives at the bottom end of at the wrong end of the championship table. So Millwall will feel a little bit aggrieved that it's 2 points dropped, but Rotherham will feel a point gain there. So the Yorkshire side coming away with a point. Elsewhere in the championship, Windass and Clark, the goal scorers for Wigan, who kept hold of Will Grigg in the window. And Burnley now up to 24 points, still in 17th place, which is the annoyance, but they got their penalty for the first time in over nearly 2.5 years, and it was a long time coming, but they should have conceivably had 2 ordered for them. Bogo and Wilkes, the goal scorers, as Portsmouth and Doncaster play out a 1-1 draw down at Fratton Park, so Portsmouth coming away with at least something there from the game. Leeds and Norwich, who kick off at 5:30, will start top and third respectively. They play each other at Elland Road. Notts County and Lincoln drew 1-1. John Stead with a penalty after 2 minutes, and Anrada equalising in the 49th minute of the first half. In 4 minutes of stoppage time it was awarded, and Danny Cowley's men got a priceless point to keep them on course for promotion to the second tier of English football. Luton and Barnsley leading the way. Portsmouth have lost ground, but it's been a marvellous day, a dramatic day. We've had a dramatic Clarets match live before this, and boy, are we going to have some fun now. And then at 5:30, that poignant match between Cardiff and Brentford and Bournemouth as well. But let's get the full classified check now. Beginning as usual with the Premier League. Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Watford 0. Burnley 1, Southampton 1. Cardiff City against Bournemouth is an evening kick-off at 5:30. Chelsea 5, Huddersfield 0. Crystal Palace 2, Fulham 0. Everton 1, Wolves 3. And Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 0. Sky Bet Championship. Birmingham City 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Brentford 5, Blackburn Rovers 2. Bristol City 2, Swansea City 0. Hull City 2, Stoke City 0. Ipswich Town 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Leeds United against Norwich City is an evening kick-off at 5:30. Millwall 0, Rotherham 0. Reading 0, Aston Villa 0. Sheffield United 2, Bolton Wanderers 0. West Bromwich Albion 2, Middlesbrough 3. And Wigan Athletic 2, Queen's Park Rangers 1. League 1. Accrington Stanley against Blackpool, match postponed, frozen pitch. Barnsley 2, Scunthorpe 0. Burton Albion 0, Oxford 0. Coventry City 1, Gillingham 1. Fleetwood 1, Charlton Athletic 0. Peterborough 0, Plymouth Argyle 1. Portsmouth 1, Doncaster Rovers 1. Shrewsbury 0, Luton Town 3. Southend United 1, Bristol Rovers 2. Sunderland 1, AFC Wimbledon 0. Walsall 1, Rochdale 2. And Wycombe Wanderers 0, Bradford City 0. Sky Bet League 2. Bury 1, Crawley 1. Games between Cheltenham and Cambridge and Crewe Alexandra against Carlisle. Both matches postponed. Frozen pitches. Exeter 3, NK Dons 1. Grimsby 0, Grimsby 3, Newport 0. Mansfield 3, Macclesfield 1. Northampton Town 0, Colchester 4. Notts County 1, Lincoln 1. The game between Oldham and Morecambe, again match postponed due to a frozen pitch. Also Port Vale and Tranmere, again same reason, match postponed. Stevenage 1, Yeovil 0. And Swindon against Forest Green, also match postponed, again due to a frozen pitch. The Build Base FA Trophy third round. Colston Athletic 3, Barnet 3. Chesterfield 0, Brackley 2. Harrogate Town 2, Stockport County 4. Emil Hempstead against Solihull Moors, match postponed. Leighton Orient 1, Blythe Spartans 0. The games between Ramsbottom and Files, Salford City against Maidenhead and Spennymoor Town against AFC Telford United, all postponed. Vanarama National League. Boreham Wood against Wrexham, match postponed. Dover 1, Gateshead 2. And the games between Ebbsfleet and Hartlepool and Maidenhead against Dagenham and Redbridge, again both those games as well match postponed. Ladbrokes Premiership. Hamilton Academicals 1, Dundee 1. Hibernian 1, Aberdeen 2. Motherwell 3, Livingston 0. And Rangers 4, St Mirren 0. Ladbrokes Championship. Alloa Athletic 1, Ayr United 3. Dundee United 2, Greenock Morton 1. Dunfermline 1, Ross County 2. Falkirk 3, Queen of the South 0. And Inverness Caledonian Official 1, Partick Thistle 2. Ladbrokes League 1, Airdrie 2, Dumbarton 2. Montrose 5, Brecon City 2. Raith Rovers 1, Forfar 1. And the game between Stranraer and Stenhousemuir, again match postponed due to the weather. Ladbrokes League 2, the games between Berwick and Rangers and Annan Athletic, Cowdenbeath and Peterhead, all both postponed. Edinburgh 3, Albion Rovers 1. And the games between Elgin and Queen's Park and Stirling Albion and Clyde, both off. JD Wells Premier League. Carnarvon 2, Barrytown 0. Carnarvon 1, Cardiff MU 1-0. Kevin Drews 0, Nanathlete 0. And Newtown 1, Connors Quay Nomads 2. And the Tennis Irish Cup, Ballymena, the games between Ballymenard and Carrick and Ballymena and Portadown both postponed. Coleraine 3, Dergview 0. Glenarvan against Dungannon Swifts, again that's match postponed. Larne 3, Crumminstar 1. Larne Technical Old Boys 3, Strabon Athletic 1. And Linfield 0, Crusaders 0, that's going on. That's extra time being played. And the game between Warren Point and Queen's University, that's also been postponed due to the weather. So the Premier League table, that's the full classifiers. Liverpool still top by 4 points. Spurs now moving to second place, but Manchester City and Liverpool both have games in hand. Liverpool play on Monday, incidentally. City tomorrow against Arsenal. Chelsea move up to fourth. Burnley go 5 points clear of Cardiff City. Have got to play in about 15-20 minutes from now. Southampton also move up to 24 points. At the top of the table, Leeds and Norwich play off second and first. Sheffield United in between in second. Bristol City, Middlesbrough and West Brom are the other occupants of the playoffs, with Birmingham and Derby welling with a shout as well, along with Aston Villa as well. At the wrong end of the table, we've got Reading, Bolton and Ipswich still in deep trouble. Rotherham and Millwall just above the water. At the top of the League One, Luton and Barnsley top and second, although Barnsley are a point clear of Portsmouth. Sunderland, Charlton and Peterborough complete the playoff picture. Still tight at the bottom between Gillingham, Rochdale, Gillingham, Bristol Rovers, Oxford and Bradford. 2 points separating those teams there. At the top of League 2, Lincoln still have a 2 point lead from Mansfield, who have a 4 point lead over Bury. Then it's 3 points back to the playoffs, with Forest Green, Carlisle, MK Dons and Exeter completing the top 7. Morecambe 2 points above the drop zone. Macclesfield Town under Sol Campbell having a good run there, but Notts County now being in danger of being cut adrift, although they do have a game in hand. In the Scottish Premier League, Celtic are 3 points clear, but we have a game in hand. Rangers, their rivals, are second, with Aberdeen third. Hamilton Academicals still in trouble at the wrong end of the table with Dundee and as well. So, what a day it has been in the Premier League. It's been remarkable in more ways than one, that is for certain. And it's been, I've got to be honest, I've very much enjoyed the company of everybody here today. It's been really tough, but it was tough going for Burnley today. There's no question about that. It was always going to be a tough ask, all things considered, but having said all that, you can't legislate for that. Anyway, let's hear from Eden Hazard after Chelsea's win.
How pleased will your manager be by that performance?
You need to ask him. I think he will be happy, especially because he was waiting a reaction from us, and we gave this reaction. So just happy tonight, yeah.
Yes, he was excellent today. Yes. Alive to Simon Brotherton, who was there for
I do apologise. That wasn't meant to happen. Technical fault, but we've sorted it now. So that was Eden Hazard speaking after a very big win over Huddersfield, and now look certainties for the drop at this moment in time. So it's going to be tough. Hopefully we'll hear from some of the protagonists from our commentary game today. But it really was a real classic, that's for sure. So hopefully we'll hear something before around about 4:30, something like that. But it's been a weird day, sort of a day for all sorts of different reasons. Burnley will feel very hard done by. I think they should have had all 3 points in truth. And to be quite honest, it was tough going for a long time. But Burnley are the team now have never ever given up, and I think that was what was reflected in the way that Burnley played today. They didn't look out of place at all, and they didn't give in. Defending could have been a bit better on the winning goal, on the goal that looked as if it was going to give Southampton the 3 points from Redmond. But at the end of the day, the referee, for once in this great game, gave what was a deserved decision against Southampton, and the referee decided to order a penalty, and it was duly put away with a minimum of a fuss in the 4th minute of stoppage time. Ashley Barnes, I don't think there's anybody you want on your side to take a penalty than Ashley at that moment in time. It was just unbelievable stuff. We're still waiting to hear any more interviews that do come our way. I think it's been a remarkable day's football again. And that's before tomorrow's action, but which we won't be covering because I'll be elsewhere. I'll be in Manchester on another project, no football relation whatsoever. And incidentally, for all you people that are with me on Facebook, you'll be able to listen back to some of the best bits of my commentary this afternoon later on in a live sound-only stream later on this evening, around probably about 10 or 11 o'clock this evening, so probably about 9, maybe 9:30 this evening, depending on what goes on. But yes, a priceless point really for the Clarets. It was a dramatic finish, and it was really a very, very good ending. Let's hear from Nuno Espirito Santo. His Wolves team won 3-1 today against Everton.
We had a lot of control to create situations, and in the second half I think was both teams well organized. Of course we were in front of the score, and Everton risk everything, starting to play very direct, requires a lot of shape and compact being organized, and I think when we achieved the third goal, almost the game was done for us.
It's been a long time since Wolves have won here. Were you aware of the history coming into the game?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have all the facts, but what I know is very difficult to play here. It's the atmosphere. Everton is a very good team, good manager, and always in one moment can change everything. I think the boys were very, very organized. They stay in shape, and I think control the game, and we had a lot of chances.
Yeah, and they come out 3-1 winners. Haven't won for a while at Goodison Park, but maybe that was a long time coming. I believe Everton were booed off the pitch come the final whistle. So it really was a performance really that really will be a statement to them. Wolves now will move very much towards I think they'll be more than happy now to stay in the Premier League right now until the end. But yes, it was a remarkable day down at Everton. 3-1 winners.
A stunning effort from
just apologise again, that shouldn't have happened. But wow, it's been one of those days where it's all happened, and really in some aspects I mean, Wolves should be okay now. I think they're looking at being the best of the rest, but they have a fantastic side. They've had a great week. They've signed permanently Johnny Otto, which I think is a good move, a marvellous move for them. I think he's been one of their most outstanding players throughout the season, and I honestly do believe that strongly. And Wolves now up to 7th. They're only 2 points shy of the 40-point mark, which I'm sure was their target at the start of the season. But they're in 7th place, and they're 4 points above Watford at the moment. So the Wolves are going really, really strongly, and I think they're going to take some stopping. And I think they've been magnificent this season. A real breath of fresh air, I have to say, to the Premier League. And well, that bottom half of the table now is looking at a little bit more. Is getting a little bit more tighter. Leicester downwards. There's a gap now of about 7 or 8 points now from 12th to 17th, which is quite interesting at the moment. And that also poses the question: is Marco Silva on borrowed time now at Everton? He needed to win this game really, and the Everton fans, from what I've heard, have been booed off the field. So something's not right at Everton. Hasn't been for a couple of seasons at the moment. What is going on at that football club, I'm sure. Result of the day in the Championship, and it gives me great pride to say it. Brentford beating Blackburn by 5-2, and great pride. And anybody that supports Blackburn Rovers in my friends, I think you should shut up tonight and stop crowing about us and start worrying about your own team, because I think you've got no chance of getting in the playoffs at this rate if you have bad results like that. Just saying. But I've got to give Burnley 10 out of 10 for the way that they played today. They were superb, as I say, to a man. They were brilliant right from first whistle to last. Hopefully we'll get something from Sean Dyche before the day is out. We are leaving at around about 25 past 5, but it's been it will be an emotional day in something like 10 minutes time, as Cardiff will prepare to play their first home game since the disappearance of their new £18 million man Salah, who's sadly on a flight back from Nantes to Cardiff. The plane was lost on radar in Guernsey, and presumably it disappeared into the English Channel, which was sad really from that point of view. So really disappointing nearly from that aspect, but was a marvellous day. I don't think we're going to get an interview maybe with Sean Dyche before the day's out. If we don't get a chance, then I do apologise, but I'm sure you'll be quite pleased that we got a penalty the first time in 60 matches. We got a penalty, and not before time too. I think that is the question. That is the case in that one. I don't think we're going to hear from Sean Dyche anyway, but really a fantastic performance, and Burnley deserved a point. Thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic evening. For the Facebook people, I'll put the forecast if I've done a bit later and some snippets of commentary. But for me, JB, take care and have a good evening. Good night.